This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, Dana. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm trying to figure out, you can hear me and see me?
I can hear you, and I don't see you yet. I don't think I'm here. Turn my camera on too. I think. Yep.
I see you.
Yay.
So because I didn't figure out in time to call in on my phone and mute. So I'm actually talking through my computer, but it's working okay, right?
Yeah, I'm not getting any feedback.
Okay. All right, good. So is anybody, or is everybody calling in?
Everybody's calling in today. George is normally the only one that comes in person, and he's not coming today.
Okay. So Laura, the one thing I was going to ask is anybody else on yet?
We just have someone that's coming on right now.
It's about the rules for these temporary tent things.
Mhm.
Do we have any kind of rule about that?
Well, I mean, we can talk about it more when we get into it, but there are some city rules. I didn't see anything in our guidelines.
All right. Sorry, my computer will not stay standing up for some reason. The screen keeps falling down, so you're going to end up looking at my ceiling if I don't fix this. Trying to prop a book through in it and it won't hold.
Oh, goodness.
Goodness. I guess I'll have to hold it. All right. Fortunately, we don't have that many things on our agenda.
Right. Yeah, it should be a pretty short meeting.
How many do we need, Laura, for quorum?
We need 6 total.
Ellie, come here. Hi, PJ.
That we need to do this twice.
Egan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. Do we have somebody calling in?
Hi, Evan's here.
Hi, Evan.
Hi, Evan. Hi, Tegan.
Hello. Melissa's here.
Hi, Calissa.
Hi, Calissa. Are you caller 01?
Caller 1 is Evan.
Okay.
Hello, this is
Who's
Joshua Arguello, Streamline Architects.
Hi, Josh.
I can't hear anything. It's PJ, I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
You
might want to check your computer or phone volume, PJ.
probably can't hear you.
No, she can't. If I can. Aren't you fun?
I wonder if she can you chat with her?
Let's see. It's not letting me use the text, the chat box. Can't type into it.
Yeah, I can't either.
That's weird.
Is that because of the shared screen?
No, normal. I have been able to do it in the past.
It's weird.
It's letting me type. Do you want me to just tell her to make sure computer's speaker's on?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, someone else did it. Keegan did it.
Thank you.
Hopefully she'll see that.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
So I've got a call. So Evan's caller 1. Who's caller 3 and 4?
So
This is Joshua Arguello with Streamline.
Okay, so that's caller 3. So Josh is caller 3. Who else do we have calling in?
I don't know if anyone can hear me, but I can't hear anything. And it shows that my mic is on. This is PJ.
Oh my goodness, how are we going to communicate with her?
I think I can have somebody call her.
Can't hear you. They just tried to do.
Call her.
Okay, so I'm sorry. While you're doing, I'm going to go to all these people attending. So we've got Evan is caller 1, Joshua is caller 3. Who's caller 4 and 5?
Derek Nix is here.
I'm sorry. Who was that?
Derek Nix.
I was picking up just as you were saying your name.
Derek Nix, N-I-S.
Who's listed as owner? Anybody? can you see everybody? But all I can see now is you.
It looks like I cannot see anybody anymore. I lost people's cameras. That's optional. You don't have to show yourself if you don't want to.
I'm driving in the car, otherwise I would, I suppose.
Okay. All right. I just don't know if do we have quorum?
We should, but I can do a quick roll call.
That'd be great.
Okay. Greg?
I'm here.
Great.
Okay.
Dana's here. PJ, can you hear us yet? Oh, she's here in spirit. Derek is here. Danelle?
Yep.
Okay. Calissa is here. Zach is not going to be able to make it today. Tegan's here. And Evan's here, and George isn't able to make it. So everybody's here, and we have quorum.
And I can
Right.
hear you now. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Yay. Great. A little bit of all this meeting. Everybody, your phones on mute, please, so we can maybe limit the feedback. That would be really appreciated. And just put your just unmute when we do a vote or and if you have a question, and we'll try to limit the talking over from everybody. But thank you all for attending. So first order of business is to approve the minutes of the last meeting from September 28th. Is there a motion to approve?
I would so move.
Thank you, Greg. Is there a second?
Mhm.
Second.
Thank you, PJ. All right, is there any further discussion, any corrections or additions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Minutes are approved. There's no old business, new business. First case is DR 20-33, request for design approval, CD Downtown Zoning District, windows and doors at 311, 315 East 2nd Street. Pete Stopulus, petitioner. Is
Okay,
Pete here?
Are you on the call? I do not hear him. He's not here in person. So
All right,
we'll
maybe he's running a bit late.
Yeah.
Is anybody here representing the other petitioner? Joshua, is that what you're here for?
Yes.
Nope, I'm here for the second case on the docket.
Okay. Do you want to skip
All right.
the second one then?
Yes, please. Let's go ahead and skip to that.
Pardon my scrolling.
It's all right. So I won't read it, but it's the Cigar Store that I believe we in the past have approved a sign for.
Yeah.
And this is for a fence, a door, and a trellis tent structure. So is it Josh or Joshua?
It's either or. I don't have a preference, so whatever you prefer.
I'll let you go ahead and take over, and you can explain what the plans are.
Okay, so the southern section of the building, they're going to be converting into a VIP lounge, so it's going to be an additional lounge for the cigars. And in order to do that, we needed to cut in a new exit because there was an occupancy of over 50. So that's what's occurring on the west side, about 20 feet north of the south side. On the west side, we're cutting in a new door. And then we're modifying the existing entrance on the south side so that it's up to code, because there's a few steps on the interior that the tread is above 7 inches, and the ones on the exterior as well. So we're lowering that entrance to the sidewalk level, and we're going to be utilizing just a standard storefront with clear glazing and black mullions with doors to match the existing doors that are on the west side there. So the new fence is like an iron rod aluminum fence, painted black, about 5 feet tall. And then the trellis and canopy structure is a pre-engineered metal structure with something like similar to you would see like at a wedding tent at the exterior there. So, and then there's also siding going on the west side too.
Yeah, and I have some. So here's the floor plan. So the storefront is over on the bottom right.
Yes.
So that is where they're lowering the steps, or they're removing the steps into the building. So it will look very similar to it looks now, except slightly taller glass storefront. The new door can be seen here. It's the 001A is the new door. Fence is right here. 5 foot tall black aluminum iron rod style fence. And as Josh mentioned, it's a tent style. And they also have one over the 2 existing doors. They have the same type of structure plans there as well. With seasonal removable vinyl walls. So I have some pictures too. Oops, sorry. There they are. So here you can see the beginnings of the structure going up, and the fence is already installed. And then the siding color is complementary to the storefront brick. So staff has no problems with the color associated with the siding, and the flat work looks really, really nice, actually, even though it's not something that design review board reviews. It does look very nice. So it's a close-up look at it's basically a tent.
So is this tent a permanent? Is it just meant to be a temporary? I'm just, and I don't know what the building code.
So we were applying as if it was going to be a temporary use structure, but we got our drawings back from the building department, and they're saying that it's permanent in nature. So now we're going to have an engineer come in and give his assessment so that it will be applied for as a permanent structure.
Right. So here's a picture of what is being proposed for a permanent structure. So they basically need to get it stamped to meet wind load and snow load. And that was from the chief building official. So in my staff report, let me get back up to that so I can kind of make sure we didn't miss anything. Yep. So my staff report, I say I recommend approval for the fence, siding, door on the west side of the building, and the storefront on 4th Street. And then I recommend tabling the trellis and tent structures until additional information or alternative product is proposed and able to meet required building codes. So so we don't really have anything. So it's something to discuss in the future. Generally speaking, we wouldn't necessarily review a temporary structure for design review board. If the framework was to stay up, I'd say we'd probably review that, but not necessarily. We would kind of need to talk with our legal department to see how we would review the structure as a whole in terms of the, if we have to look at the final product with the walls up and everything.
Josh, this is Greg. What do you and how do you define temporary?
So I wasn't sure what the city used to define it, but in past projects, there was a limit to how long, say the canopy could be up between 30 and 90 days. But like I said, I don't know how the how the city of Davenport defines that. So we were submitting as if it was going to be temporary use. I don't think he was planning on utilizing it in the winter, so more of a seasonal canopy.
So that could be 3 to 6 months then?
Assuming yes, yep.
So then is it removed? Then in the 6 months it's not being used?
We were applying as if it was a temporary structure in the instance that would be the case. If we had to remove it, we could. But it sounds like it's being submitted as a permanent structure, so it wouldn't be required to move after we have after we have the engineered wind loads and snow load design submitted and approved.
Right. So that's
Cora,
why.
this is
I'm sorry. What, Greg?
where else do we have in the city something that would remain up 6 months to a year, whether it be used for 3 to 6 months or whatever? Where else do we have that allowed in the city?
Good question. The only thing I'm aware of right now is that the COVID Test Iowa site has an
Yes.
extended tent. We usually don't have a lot of long-term tents up in the city. They're more related to events. So it would
Right.
be, related to fairs and like Beaux-Arts and things like that. We don't typically see a lot of 6-month uses of tents. And just so the board is aware that the fire code does require any tents over, I think it's 10 by 20 to be inspected to see that it will meet a piece of their fire code. So
Sure.
How big is this?
I believe it is 20 by 20.
So what's the capacity in a normal year?
Josh, do you have that information?
I do not in front of me. No, I'm sorry.
It might be in what you gave me. Let me check. Sorry, scrolling.
While you're looking at that, I just have to say I have some real concerns about the precedent that this might set for, people putting up these temporary looking tents as an easy way to create expanded space.
Right.
I'm kind of surprised that this isn't already a city code issue.
I think that's why the chief building official said that they need to have it designed for engineering purposes. I don't think a tent like this is likely going to meet those requirements. And so that's why I suggested tabling it until seeing what an alternative product might look like. Either I mean, honestly, I had contemplated just an outright denial, but wanted to suggest tabling it to see if we could get more information based off of what Josh has available or an engineer can provide.
Yeah.
Just in regards to ADA compliance in regards to the temporary tent?
That's a good question. So the city has architects and engineers sign off that they are meeting ADA compliance, and we double check to make sure they are. I mean, it is at grade. Underneath it is pavers, so I don't know if that would be a large issue to do some kind of tent structure related to this.
Well, I apologize to you all. For some reason, I cut out, but I was going to say that you could get the structure engineered. What I think would be incredibly problematic is to get the sheathing, both the roof and the walls, engineered. And again, as you said, Dana, I think this is tiptoeing on some precedent that I don't know that we want to set, or at least I'm not that interested yet.
Excellent points, Greg. Does anybody else have any comments or thoughts or concerns or even positive comments about this?
I have a question about what's the purpose of this tent?
So the owner isn't here, but I'm assuming it's just another assembly space for exterior recreation. So people that visit the cigar lounge can utilize it as a patio space. So I don't know if it's to shelter them from the rain if it's raining, or if it's just a shade structure for the hotter summer months. So, but
Okay, thank you.
believe if it's 400 square feet and we're using the 15 square feet per or one person per 15 square feet, that would put us at 27 people in that space.
Okay.
So will the outdoor arrangements be utilized for both establishments, the cigar and also for the hookah lounge?
Yes.
So I guess the other question I have then is, I mean, I get it if it's just for a temporary, COVID kind of a solution, and certainly makes some sense. But my concern is really then if it's becomes more of a long-term permanent building solution, and what is the city code for bathroom access from one permanent structure going outside, considered a permanent structure going outside, and then into another building to get to a bathroom?
Also a great question. So these are definitely things that we can look at with our chief building official, who's unfortunately not able to make it to today's meeting. I hesitate to, I mean, like I said, I was very close to just outright recommendation for denial on the tent structure. I think that there's other alternatives for shade that they could come up with, that some other businesses use in the downtown that look more temporary in nature. So I see Danelle's question about does the tent skirt indoor smoking regulations. So cigar lounges and hookah lounges are under a different part of the state code when it comes to smoking regulations. They are allowed to do smoking inside, and our chief building official has been in contact with the state to get a better handling on what that means for the tent. But it appears that it would meet the state's requirements.
Well, I know that during events throughout our city's history, these tents have been pretty popular. And but I do recall several years ago where I don't remember whether it was St. Patrick's Day or what, but a storm came up and blew the covering off of the tent or off the structure and took down part of the structure. And most people that rent those things do say and will say that they are designed to structurally support and withstand X amount of wind, but that one still blew down. And that's why I say that, you can design the framing to be structurally sound, but I just don't know how you do that. Maybe you can. I could be totally wrong, but maybe you can design the covering, the sheathing for the structure to be structurally sound also. But I just think this sets a really different perspective and precedence, and I'm not sure I want to go down that path in our city. Matter of fact, I know I don't right now.
So I really appreciate all your comments. Thank you, guys. Maybe what we ought to do is follow Laura's staff suggestion and recommendation and talk about the things we're okay with approving. And I guess then the question will be, and I'm going to ask for that for a vote separately. And then the question is going to be, do we just reject this next request and save everybody some time, or do we table it and allow them to go back to find other alternatives? To me, all other alternatives are not this, so something to think about. So can we talk about, is there anybody that has any concerns about the entry door, the siding, or the fence?
No, I'd lead off by saying I support the rest of what they're trying to do.
Is that a motion, Greg?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, is it?
Tegan will second that.
Thank you very much, Tegan. Good discussion. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. All right, that part of the motion, or that part of the presentation is passed. So then the next thing is, do we need to have any more conversation about what to do with the tent? Do we reject or table?
I think I'd like to table until we better understand what the intended use is.
Fair enough. Anybody else?
I think it's more appropriate to see, looking at the EPA and indoor and outdoor adaptations for air quality control should be discovered. That's just a thought.
All right, I guess the question is, that's then saying that we are willing to consider a tent as a permanent structure.
Well, I'm not sure I'm saying that I would be comfortable with the tent, but I would one, need to understand what they're trying to accomplish, and two, if it's like we've asked, is this a temporary thing or is it for more long-term use? If it's temporary, like to accommodate more people for COVID, I'm willing to support a business for a temporary use. But if you're talking a tent for greater than 6 months, maybe an alternative, more permanent structure would be appropriate.
I wonder if it might also be feasible to ask the owner, if we rejected this, what other alternative plans they might have.
Well, if he can get the structure that we see in these pictures certified to withstand or to hold up the building code, my question then would be, as I said before, the sheathing. But even still, I appreciate understanding what temporary use is, but I think anything that goes out to 6 months is less than temporary by any other measure that's occurred in the city. Just my thoughts.
I guess I would also wonder if in fact it's temporary, does that in fact mean it will be removed during the times it's not being used, or does that just mean they won't have anybody in it?
That's a good point, Dana.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Because
a really good.
If they just don't have anybody in it, then it technically is a permanent structure that we're going to be looking at 12 months of the year.
Yep.
So I think that building code would require it be taken down entirely. But my question is if they are able to, kind of along the lines of what Greg is saying, if they are able to engineer the structure, I believe what we will be looking for as a city, and I can confirm with the chief building official, is it would need to be engineered to withhold while the walls and canopy are installed. So it would need to withstand wind load and snow load, fully assembled. And I just don't think that this structure will probably be able to do that. And then I have serious concerns over the general appearance of it with a vinyl wall construction as well.
I'd
But
love
I'm
to
willing
say
to see if they
we
have
could.
something else.
I'd love to say that we could sustain a 6-month celebration event, but this doesn't fit criteria, I don't think.
So can I ask a clarifying question? If it is temporary use, does that take it out of the scope of design review board?
If it's temporary, it wouldn't. I believe it wouldn't require building permit. It would just be a permit through the business and revenue department, and then it would be inspected by the fire department.
Okay.
So it wouldn't fall under our purview for temporary. But I can also clarify with our legal department on that piece as well.
Laura, don't you, when you erect these tents, and again, I could be wrong, but through the outing club, whenever we put up tents out in the yard for events, we had to get a permit. And within that permit, we had to define the structure and the length of use within that permit.
Yeah. It's not technically a building permit though, so that's kind of where I'd want to just double check with legal on whether we will be reviewing, because we haven't in the past when there's been events in the downtown, we have not been reviewing temporary tent structures.
Right. But they do have to get a permit to put them up. Is that not correct?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah.
All right, so anybody else have anything they'd like to add to the conversation? So I guess, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think hearing all of this, I'm more inclined to simply reject just because of all of the questions and if it was temporary and through, for example, the fire department has to give their okay on things, it almost sounds like it's just opening more cans of worms.
Good point, PJ. So I've heard some thoughts on both tabling and rejecting. Does somebody want to make a motion? It's okay either way. Anybody?
I'll make a motion to deny.
Seconded.
All right. Okay. Was there a second?
Second, Evan.
Okay, so the motion has been made to deny the request for the trellis portion of the proposal. All in favor? Is there any more discussion? Anybody else want to say anything about this? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Okay, so that portion of the proposal has been rejected.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Good conversation. I appreciate it.
It is.
Okay.
And I will follow up with some of those questions.
Okay, thanks, Laura. So I see Pete has joined us. Thanks, Pete. So we'll go back to our first project on the agenda. And Laura, if you want to pull that up. So Pete is asking us to take a look at new windows and storefront for 315 East 2nd Street. Formerly the home, for those of you that want to get familiar with Abernathy's next door to Half Nelson, the Mead place. So Pete, are you able to take us through this, please?
I am sorry. I had a little go to meeting snag that reset
Okay.
everything. So I'm here now. Yeah, so basically, if you can picture the building, it's got some large storefront glass windows there along 2nd Street, south side of 2nd Street. There we go. They're aged and ugly and ineffective in terms of keeping the elements out. So with these new tenants that are coming in, we've kind of taken the opportunity to look at what we can do to upgrade the facade in terms of the material. The look will remain as similar as possible. They really can't, it's hard to recreate that exact look right now with what I'm told from the window manufacturers, the code and the current code and how expensive it would be to put glass in that would be shatterproof or shatter resistant and still meet that look. So what they did was came up with a design that essentially achieved our goals of providing a new storefront glass and still looking really cool. And so obviously you have that example, but we're going to replace all those 4 openings will be replaced with new glass and new doors.
Laura, you want to?
And then the windows above too, as well, will be replaced.
Yep. Yeah.
Those vinyl windows.
And there will be an extra door opening. So this door that's over here right now is going to be for just the tenant use up to the 2nd floor, and then there will be a new opening for a new business going in there.
Correct.
Laura, can you scroll down to the elevations that were included? There we go.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I believe this one's the far right side where Abernathy's, or no, where Dress to Success was.
Yep.
Right, Pete?
That's the west side, correct.
Yep, thank you. And the panels are going to stay dark on that side because there is a false floor in there. Right, Pete?
Yeah, it's basically that. As you can see, if you look at the elevation again, you can, once you open that door on the far right side of the picture, you walk up like 5 or 6 steps. So the first floor is actually above kind of that window line, the mullion there. Whereas at 311 on the east side, that first floor is a grade.
Yeah.
So what
from the outside you can see black. If you look past those kind of multicolored windows right now, you can see a black foundation in there and a void, and it's quite hideous, frankly. So they need to do something to obscure that.
What color will those panels be?
What you're looking at, kind of like a gray or what's charcoal or something smoky, I guess. No color, if you will, lack of color.
The absence of color.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm happy to see the dark frames. I did notice on the notations that the lower one said bronze and the upper one said black.
Yeah, the Pella doesn't make a bronze aluminum outside apparently, or one that would match this. But honestly, if you look at the Half Nelson building, those are quote unquote bronze, and the windows above them are black next door. So it's a black paint on the wood and a bronzed aluminum on the first floor. So we wanted to keep in concert with the building next door as well. And I don't know, I'm not a design expert like you, Dana, but I cannot tell the difference between black and bronze when I'm standing on the street. I have to get a magnifying glass out.
Well, I can, but I mean, it is fairly negligible. But I mean, is there a reason to not just do black on the bottom if they don't make bronze for the upper ones? Is that
I didn't think they could get us black on the bottom. If they can, we'll go with it. I don't really care one way or another. I don't know if it was a cost issue, but they didn't even bring it up, frankly. I'm happy to ask Mags that question.
I mean, it's probably, to me, it's just one of those little details that why not do it all black if you can. And black certainly a very, very nice and acceptable for,
Yeah.
all social stuff. So if you can, I would love to see it all be.
Yeah, if we can, I have no problem with that. I mean, the first floor would be perfectly fine in black.
Yep, and then these windows on the second floor would fit the same spot that they are right now. So there would
Yep.
be that small filling. Let me scroll back up to the elevation real quick. So Pete's going to be doing a very, it's got a slight curvature towards the window right now. That will be black to match the window.
Correct.
Look tons better.
Yeah. And then
yes.
just so that you're also aware, so when we're done and everything's installed, there will be a temporary ADA ramp into the new entrance, as this area is going to get the streetscaping approved that had been approved previously at the city level. So we didn't feel like it was right to have Pete go ahead and pour concrete for something that was just going to get torn out in the spring. So there'll be a temporary ADA ramp entrance into the building.
What will the permanent ADA solution be? Do we know?
It's actually a very minor grade change, and that will be taken account with the grading during the installation of the streetscaping. So it will be at grade with the sidewalk.
Perfect.
So there won't be any different treatment there. Yeah.
Excellent. Peter, there are also windows on the west side of the building?
Nope. Nothing there, unfortunately. We would have probably cut in windows there if we were doing a massive renovation of that second floor, but we're not, and the tenant does not want windows right now.
Okay.
They're using it mostly for storage.
And these same windows are going on in the back side. I just didn't mention it.
Correct.
So there are some openings in the back that the same windows will be put into.
Yeah, it seemed like there were more windows than what I saw in the front on the proposal. Okay, does anybody else have any questions or comments? Somebody want to make a motion? We're basically just looking to accept the proposal for the windows on the first and second floor.
Sure. Tegan will motion to approve
Thank
the proposal as written.
Great. Thank you. Was there a second?
Melissa will second.
All right. Any further discussion?
Do you want to add the if black if possible amendment to that, Dana?
Yes, please. Thank you for that reminder.
I've already sent the email, believe it or not. Otherwise, I'll forget. Let's be honest.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Very good. Motion carries. All right. Thank you, Pete.
Thanks, everyone.
That building.
Great project, Pete.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's going to look good. It can't look much worse, frankly. So.
So are those windows going to be flood proof?
I'll go there, Dana. I don't need to think about that right now. I hope they're going to be really weather tight. Put it that way. That's where I'll leave it.
There you go. Well, we're going to have a barrier that's not going to let the flood water that far anyway, right?
There we go. I'm in favor of that. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, I don't know that we have anything else. Laura, do we have anything else we need to talk about?
Yes. So on Wednesday, the city council will be appointing a new DRB board member. Her name is Brittany Klarkowski, and so she will officially be a board member starting on Wednesday. She's a real estate agent, and I'm really excited to have her on the board.
Great. Where does she work?
I think she's an independent real estate agent.
Okay.
What's her name again?
Brittany Klarkowski.
Great.
Okay. Good to know. And is there anybody going off our board, Laura?
I do not believe so.
Better not. Okay,
I
well,
think
thanks for that.
you, Greg, and Derek are the 3 board members. Those terms are expiring, and I think we're going to be okay. So I think
Yep.
I think 30 days beforehand, so if you haven't heard from the mayor yet, you should be hearing from him soon.
I got my call and I re-upped, so you're stuck with me, gang.
Well, yay! We're excited.
Yep, so did I.
Excellent. Okay, well, I don't hear any more conversation. I don't think there's anything in the chat room. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. Hopefully someday we'll get to be back together in person. But in the meantime, stay well.
Thank you. Good night, all.
Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Good night.
Bye. I don't know how to turn this off. Out of this.